Hello and welcome to People's Voice on VOP TV, where we take stories that matters to Nigerians, and of course the biggest stories in the news takes center stage. My name is Adefunke Ajaisemi, and as we kick off a new week, Nigeria is bracing for a series of significant events that will shape the nation's trajectory. Today, leaders are gathering in Daura, Katsina State, to pay their last respect to former President Muhammadu Buhari. However, in a twist, it's been confirmed that Buhari's body will arrive in Nigeria and burial will take place tomorrow, Tuesday, July 15, with his remains arriving in Katsina and burial rites commencing in Daura at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Vice President Kashim Shettima and other top government officials like the Chief of Staff to the President of the country, Femi Gbadabiamila, will also be accompanying Buhari's body from London to Nigeria. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has declared a 7-day mourning period, and an emergency Federal Executive Council meeting will be held tomorrow, Tuesday, to honor Buhari's legacy. But in a separate development, the nation is also mourning the passing of the Reverend Awujale of Ijebu land, Oba Sikiru Adetono, who died on Sunday at the age of 91. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has expressed his condolences, describing the monarch's passing as a double pain for him. The Awujale's legacy as a symbol of tradition and stability in Ijebu land will be deeply missed. In a show of respect, the chairman of Ijebu local government area, Mr. Dare Alebioshu, has directed the closure of markets in Ijebu to mourn the passing of the Awujale, allowing the sons and daughters of the land to pay their last respect. This move underscores the significant impact of Oba Adetono and, of course, how much respect Yorubas give to the throne. May the souls of the departed find eternal rest, as it is saying in Yoruba that, yes, kings don't die, but we hope that Oba Adetono journeys well. So let's talk about other stories in the news, starting with politics and governance. The political landscape is heating up with Governor Ademola Adeleke and former Governor Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola locked in a war of words ahead of the 2026 Osun governorship election. Adeleke has launched a scathing attack on Aregbesola's 8-year tenure, describing it as the worst in Osun's history. Aregbesola had boasted that the African Democratic Congress ADC would dislodge the Adeleke-led administration from the government house in 2026. This verbal sparring match highlights the intense political rivalry in Osun State at the moment. But yes, the ADC is alleging plots as the former Senate President David Mark, interim national chairman of the ADC, has raised an alarm over alleged plans by the current administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu to use the courts to derail the party's rising momentum. The ADC has mobilized a team of lawyers, including prominent figures like Abubakar Malami SAN and Professor Osayemen Osumbo, to defend the party in the ongoing and future legal cases. This development underscores the party's determination to navigate the complex legal landscape and to ensure its continued relevance in Nigerian politics. Talk about labor. In the labor news today, the FCT chapter of the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, NOGE, has suspended its 3-month strike following the intervention of the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike. The Union State Executive Council resolved to suspend the strike after Wike directed the utilization of area councils' 10% internally generated revenue to offset workers' salaries arrears. This development also brings relief to the workers who had been on strike for some months now. Maybe good news. That's what it is right now, but things we love to see in 2025. We don't expect any organization, any institution to have to go on strike just so they get attention for the government or the bodies that are relevant to them. But as we navigate these complex issues today, one thing is certain about Nigeria. Nigeria's future will be shaped by the decision we make today. So stay with us on the show today as we explore these stories and bring you expert analysis and thought-provoking discussions. Condolences have been pouring in from all over the country and even outside the shores of Nigeria, with tributes coming from top government officials, traditional leaders, and other prominent leaders across the globe, reflecting on Buhari's legacy and contribution to the nation. But it's time to go on a break now. When we return, we'll come to talk about the life and times of the former president of the Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari. Please stay with us. Welcome back to People's Voice as we join the rest of the world to celebrate the life and times of former President Muhammadu Buhari with focus on Buhari's life, career, presidency, and life after presidency. So let's start with his early life and military career. Muhammadu Buhari was born on December 17, 1942 in Daura, Katsina State, Nigeria. He grew up in a modest family and was raised in a traditional Hausa Fulani setting. Buhari's early education was at Daura Provincial Authority Primary School and later at the Katsina Middle School. He joined the Nigerian Army in 1962 and rose through the ranks, attending prestigious military institutions such as the Nigerian Military Training College and the U.S. Army War College. Buhari's military career was marked by significant roles, including serving as a commander during the Nigerian Civil War and later becoming the military governor of the northeastern state and Borno State. Talk about his rise to power. In 1983, Buhari led a military coup that ousted President Shehu Shagari, becoming Nigeria's head of state. His 20-month regime implemented a war against indiscipline campaign, aiming to curb corruption and instill civic responsibility. However, his authoritarian approach drew criticism and his regime was overthrown in 1985 coup led by Ibrahim Babangida. After years out of the military regime to politics, Buhari re-entered the scene in the early 2000s, running for president in the year 2003, 2007, and 2011 respectively. His persistence eventually paid off in 2015 when he won the presidency as candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, defeating incumbent President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan in an historic election. So let's come down to his presidency. Buhari's presidency focused on tackling corruption, improving security, and reviving the economy. His administration made strides in infrastructure development, according to reports, including roads and rail projects, and launched social welfare programs. However, his presidency was also marked by heavy controversy, including the Zaria massacre, the detention of Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaki and Zambo Dasuki. The border closure policy was also a very, very impactful one that affected the Nigerian people, especially increasing inflation at the time. Buhari's administration faced criticism for human rights concerns, media repression, and economic hardship. But despite all of these challenges, Buhari's supporters continue to praise his integrity, discipline, and commitment to Nigeria's unity. Let's move on to talk about Buhari's relationship with other leaders. We'll talk about two very significant. One, that's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and former President Olusegun Obasanjo. So there's the former President Buhari's relationship with other leaders, including Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which many have termed complex, because initially they worked together closely, but many reports say a rift developed after 2015 election. We have the background story of how Bola Ahmed Tinubu have boldly come to talk about President Buhari's failure in 2003, 2007, and the third time before he came to him and tell him that, okay, this is the way to go. And we saw how the coalition of different political giants came together to form the All Progressive Congress. But it was also reported that they reconciled ahead of the 2019 elections, with Buhari attending Tinubu's 10th colloquium in Lagos State. Buhari's relationship with former President Olusegun Obasanjo was also significant and worthy of note because Obasanjo played a key role in Buhari's 2015 presidential campaign. However, the two leaders later had a falling out, with Obasanjo criticizing Buhari's administration and actually calling for him not to run for a re-election in 2019. Yes, so many good and bad stories, but let's focus on the challenges and controversies. Buhari's presidency also faced numerous challenges and controversies, including economic hardship, security concerns, and human rights issues, which a lot of Nigerians said it violated over a period of time. The NSAS protests against police brutality heightened the administration's heavy-handed response to civil demonstrations. There's also the part of banning Twitter, and suspension of the former CJN Walter Onoge also drew criticism from a lot of Nigerians. But despite these challenges, Buhari's administration, according to scorecard reeled out by his team, had made significant progress in infrastructure development and security efforts. So 2023 came and Buhari handed over to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu after his election at the polls. So let's talk about life after presidency. After stepping down as president on May 29, 2023, President Muhammadu Buhari retired to his Katsina home, marking a peaceful transition of power to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But despite his retirement, Buhari's health continued to be a concern, leading to frequent medical trips to London. Buhari lived a relatively low-key life after presidency, keeping out of the spotlight and focusing on his health and family. But yes, there's a part of his legacy and death. Former President Muhammadu Buhari passed away yesterday, July 13, 2025, in a London clinic at the age of 82. His legacy is complex, with supporters who continue to praise him regardless of other people's opinion. They talk about his integrity and commitment to Nigeria's unity, while critics on their part highlight economic hardship and human rights concern. President Muhammadu Buhari's presidency was marked by significant infrastructure development and security efforts, but also controversy and criticism. Despite these challenges, Buhari remains a significant figure in Nigerian politics, and his legacy will continue to shape the country's future and especially the country's political dynamic. But it's never a one-man show. Let's talk more on this issue, the life and times of former President Muhammadu Buhari. And I'm being joined live in the studio by VOP TV in-house senior analyst, Mr. Dele Fanimo. Dele Fanimo is a seasoned journalist and media personality with over 20 years of experience in industry, providing insightful commentary and analysis on national issues, public affairs-related conversations, current events and issues. Good afternoon, Mr. Dele Fanimo. It's the way you're looking at me. How are you doing?
Oh, very well, and you?
Very well, but we know what it feels like. I mean, the atmosphere is sort of...
somber.
Yeah. I mean, a day where we woke up to celebrate the 91st birthday of a Professor Wale Soyinka. That was what was trending in the early hours of yesterday before we saw the breaking news. And a lot of Nigerians, a lot of people were skeptical about reposting, like, are you sure? Is it confirmed? And, before we could say Jack Robinson, we saw video emerging online showing the daughter of the president crying. I mean, I don't think any parent is old enough to die. Everybody, even no partner is old enough to die.
No, nobody.
Then while we're still trying to see where we are before the end of yesterday, we also heard of the passing to greater glory of the Imperial Majesty, the Oba of Awujale of Ijebu land, Oba Dayton of Sikiru. But let's start with the life and times of Muhammadu Buhari as former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So, what are your thoughts on the legacy of Muhammadu Buhari's presidency, and how do you think it will shape Nigeria's future, knowing that, his successor has just spent 2 years in office? There are a lot of conversations that have been ongoing over the period, and a lot of people were just waiting to see the return of a Muhammadu Buhari. But here we are. Let's dwell on his legacy first.
Let me start by saying that Buhari was different things, different person to different people.
Yeah, he has a complex
Yes. Just it was just like an enigma. And besides, Buhari was like many times lucky. Where he treaded, some people bestrode that path and they never returned. Buhari had taken that route and many times he returned in one piece. So I count him as a very lucky person. From a very humble beginning, some of his mates in the military had been retired even before he became a major general and was asked to take charge of the affairs of the country. We have to look at Buhari from different perspectives.
Right.
We talk about Buhari as a military man.
Right.
Talk Buhari as an elder statesman.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Buhari as a politician.
And as a force to reckon with.
And we'll also talk about Buhari as a family man. You know, it has so many dimensions we want to talk about. So maybe I should start with his military career. Buhari started as a young officer, and his place of birth assisted him. Because then, when recruitment were on, Buhari had no school certificate.
Okay.
And if it were to be the southern part of the country, he wouldn't have had the opportunity to join the army. And if he had joined the army at that level, he probably will remain as a non-commissioned officer till his retirement, and at best maybe warrant officer.
Wow.
Before he leaves the army. But because the Fulani stock knew exactly what they wanted when Nigeria got independence, and so they made sure they propped up their own, regardless of.
Are you saying that the quota system sort of favor?
Yes.
His person.
Many of them. For instance, it is 5'5" for men.
Okay.
And Abacha was 5'3.5". So he was not qualified by height. But he found himself in the military.
Okay.
And he rose to become a general and head of state. So I know when I'm talking about this, I know how lopsided the whole thing is. So he came in, and there were not too many of them at that time.
At the time, right.
And those in the commanding heights of the military then were the Ademule Guns, Ogundipes, Aguiyi Rossi, and the rest of them. So the only person that is of note in the military is Mama Larry, I think Azam Kashim. You know, those were the officer, the elite
like the
corps,
top shots that we
elite corps
okay.
in the military then. And so, even before quota system was entrenched in the constitution, the northern people were conscious of it, and they knew, because when the British colonialists were leaving, one of the advice they gave them was that, look, for you to have dominant power, you must have your people in the military.
The Britain, the people that
the colonial
masters actually advised them not.
Advised them that, look, for you to gain political power, you must have your people in the military. So whatever it is, they made sure that they were in the military. And so it started that way. And I want to say that Babangida came after Buhari.
Right.
You know, and the other elite core members came after the generation of Buhari into the military. And so because there were not too many then, so they needed to sort of do quota even when it is not in the constitution. They needed to make sure that at least they have representation in the military. So that also helped Buhari to rise.
But coming to democratic ruling.
And against all odds. And I've seen Buhari's in uniform before. And I don't know if it's an error. There was no medal in his chest. Maybe you need to
exactly, because I need to pay attention to his videos. So what does that imply?
What that implies is that he didn't pass staff college. He didn't pass defense. I mean, it was war college then. NW.
So he attended but did not pass.
Did not pass. But yet he rose.
So that's why he said that the nation, I mean, Buhari has enjoyed the highest benevolence when it comes to leadership. He benefited
from Nigeria. And he rose through the ranks. But one thing about him that is commendable in the military, in his military career, is he was such a very brave soldier. He was ready to dare where other people would not tread. And that also earned him accolade. And you know one thing about the military? There are some exceptional non-commissioned officers that they give officers rank up to the rank of a captain. Not because they merited it, by way of attending defense college or wherever, but because they have excelled and they have bravery on their side, they have resilience, and Buhari was one person that had that
Okay,
in
Mr.
his military career. And that was why you recall that this El Sazaki troop, the Matasane riot, he was a commander then. He made sure, even when the president then told him to retreat, he never retreated until he routed them and chased them even across border to the next neighboring country. Okay. It was Niger.
I want us to bring it out to his presidency because of time. Because his presidency was
Buhari's military career.
By a lot of controversies.
We will talk about politics. Now, in politics, Buhari was tenacious. He wanted something and he stood until he got it.
No, he stood till he got tired, then he was reinvited.
No, wait, I tell you why.
He went on national TV and said he was done.
Don't ever believe politicians when they talk.
Whether we believe him or not, his tenacity got tired. I mean, he reached the elasticity limit and was tired.
He was just expressing frustration and pain at that time. It doesn't mean that he will give up. If he had given up, he wouldn't be goaded into running for presidency in 2014. And he wouldn't have wanted to have anything to do with an alliance or whatever you call it now. People call it coalition now, but it was an alliance because three dominant parties came together to form APC, CPC, right. ACN, and
Mr. Valibo, we don't have all this time on our side.
But you wanted history.
The control, but no, I want us to dwell on his legacy. And you've talked
I am
about,
giving you the legacy now.
Military.
When you said, we were talking politics, yeah. And I told you that this man didn't say in his heart that he was not going to contest again. He was just expressing frustration.
Okay.
Now, his political career started the day he was made the military head of state. Well, it's politics, no longer military career anymore. When you become a military head of state, you are no longer pursuing military career. You are participating in politics in uniform. Because you sit atop a country. Though you have suspended constitution, you have brought in decrees, but you are actually ruling and not in the barracks commanding. So he started his political career in 1984 when he was appointed head of state. And we saw what happened. He felt Nigerians, and that's the reason why they say is Mr. Integrity. And he had a willing ally in Major General Tunde Ijebu, who stood by him. And it was a kind of balancing act. Incidentally, the two of them were from the north. But the Tunde Ijebu name would wink the southerners and say, this one is part of us. Whereas Kwara has always been part of the north, yeah. Part of the 19 states. So technically, the northerners ruled that period. And we saw what happened. He was ready. But the stain in that administration was when, through his agents, when they wanted to change Naira notes, a particular northerner brought in 53 suitcases. Atiku was then custom area controller at the port. And those 53 cases filled with money were brought in even when they had closed airports, seaports, and land borders. So it was a stain on that administration that prided itself as integrity, you know. So
integrity driven.
So now, after some like 20-something years, close to 30 years, he felt democracy has come. And he needed to also throw his hat to the ring. He came, started with ANPP. He lost first time in 2004, second time in 2007, he lost, and 2011 he lost to Jonathan. And the unfortunate reason why he lost was this old-time belief that the North can hand over Nigeria's president to Nigerians. And unfortunately, the Constitution didn't recognize that when they said you must win 25% in 2/3, which is 24 states of Nigeria, before you can be. Even if you win 100% votes in 23 states and you can't muster the last 25%, you are going nowhere. And so it was like the period he contested, the first 3 times he contested, it was like the North versus South. So eventually, a man that had planned to be president since 2006, before he left government in Alausa, saw the need to assuage his people that he would need at a later date. And he knew that Buhari was the only northerner at that moment that matches what he wanted to achieve. And he went for Buhari and said, look, don't get tired. All you need, with this political calculation,
victory is on the way.
all you need is handshake across the Niger. And Tinubu had the Southwest in his vice grip. And he said, come, I can offer you Southwest, along with 19 states in the North. That makes it 6 plus 19. That's 25. Regardless of any other place, you can still win this election. And we'll scoop 25, 20 here and there, and you'll win. And that was the permutation. He came, and the results, the rest
and
is
he became
history,
president.
And he became the president.
We are pressed for time. I will say that again. Let's just do this thing in like 2 minutes.
I thought you were going to let me say his time in life.
Mr. Funny, but if you want to give us all this history, you need to understand that what people really, we want a background of where it's coming from, but the details should be in
what he was able to achieve.
No,
as president?
Now he's president. We've taken all the time on him becoming president. So now that he's president, let's talk about it. The controversies, the success. His presidency was, covered with a lot of controversies. A lot of people talk about rule of law. A lot of people talk about the Zaria massacre, the detention of El Zazaki, the Dansuki Gate, the probing of that money, exchange of arms and all of that. And the border closure policy, which was supposed to promote local production, but at the end of the day, increased inflation in the country. Then there's the part of human rights concern. There is media repression. There's also the part of economic hardship. And the one that affected me most is the banning of Twitter at the time. So let's talk about all these things.
Now, let me tell you, if we begin to highlight this.
No, put it together.
I'm telling you, yes, if you put them together, then you have to understand the personality behind this person. It's persona. This is somebody that right from 1962 to 1985, 84, before he was overthrown, 1985, when Babangida came in.
Yeah, 1985.
Between 1962 and 1985, I don't know arithmetic too much. That should be how many years?
1962 to 72 is 10.
No.
72 to 82 is 20. That's 22 years.
No. 62 to 72.
To 84 is 22 years. 62 to 72 is 10 years. 72 to 82 is 20 years.
Okay. 23 years. He didn't know anything civil. He was a military man. And you want him to shed that toga overnight?
So what happens
it's not
to
going to happen.
Saying that change
so
is
this
the only
repression, he even took it to when he was head of state, and he was helped by Tunde Ijebu to do that. You remember that it was then they established why.
Right.
And so anybody, and that's why they created this resettlement center in Oshodi to make sure they purge you of your military arrogance and the regimental life, so that when you get to the civil society, you won't be killing people. Do you know that if not for this resettlement center, we would have had a lot of issues? Soldiers don't pay electricity bill in the barracks. So if you serve for 35 years, you will never see a NEPA man coming to your barrack to come and ask for money. You know what happened recently?
It's difficult to pay people.
So when they get to that resettlement center for the 6 months, they will tell them that, look, you are going to civil society where nobody respects your order, like your junior in the military. So you must respect other people's views. And so this man is coming from that was coming from that background of the military hierarchy where you are supposed to be a zombie, somebody who does not have a mind of his own. If you are trained in Zaria, military depot in Zaria, you are not supposed to have a mind of your own. Your mind is the command from your commander.
But the gap between 1985 to 2019 when he became president.
Who debriefed him for those years? Nobody. So he could still carry on. Look at Benjamin Adekunle before he died. Some people came to his house. They wanted to come and attack him, armed robbers. He didn't call the police. He fought them and killed all of them. If it were to be civilian, the first thing that will come to your brain is, let me call the police to come and help me. So you can now locate that within the precinct of why he would abuse human rights. You will now locate it within the precinct of
why I will not obey the rule of
law. He will
now
not obey the rule of law. You understand? And so it takes a long period for him to really accept that he's no longer in control. A military officer wants to be in control all his life. If you go to visit a retired general in his house today, if he's giving order to his cook or anything, you will know that this man is a military man and not a civilian. So for me, that is not to say what he did was right.
Exactly. So having understood all of this background and still becoming president, how do you assess the impact of his personality and policies on the country's growth?
You know, Buhari was old when he became the president.
But Nigerians wanted change at all costs. Nigerians wanted change because, you know, looking through the covers of the national daily since yesterday, mixed reactions from different parts. He's human and there's no perfect being. But the truth remains, who were the people that packaged Buhari ahead of 2015? Because if we want to make a case for, looking at where he's coming from Daura, enjoy the advantage of the quota system and becoming a general in the ministry and in the military, and of course having to go through the republic at the time, crossing to the Fourth Republic to become president in the Fourth Republic without any change of mindset, because the only thing that changed was just the uniform from khaki to agbada. So
you see, another thing again is that Buhari was one person. He was a taciturn person. He believed that his work will speak for him. He's not the regular politician. Those around him were playing politics while he was thinking that he was facing governance.
People have questioned this, his work speaking for him. Because as a former military general, what role do you think his administration played in addressing security challenges facing Nigeria? And
you see,
as somebody from the north, how much progress can we talk about when it comes to the agricultural sector?
Let me talk about insecurity. When it comes to insecurity, Buhari was more of a sentimental person than a soldier in that regard. Because he felt any attack, and he said it, that an attack on Boko Haram is an attack on my people. And like it or not, that was the mantra. You recall that I, Dele Fanimo, speaking with you, I was a state correspondent in Ibadan. Yeah. When Buhari, Ahmed Joda, and this Marwa, head of NDLA today, Buba Marwa, former Lagos State governor, when they came to Ibadan, I was there at the governor's office. In fact, when they came with truckload of their people, we thought there was a crisis. Almost everybody ran, but me, I won't run. I want to see what is pursuing me before I run. So I stood. I stood and waited for what would happen. Lo and behold, after about 30 minutes or so, Buhari, Marwa, Ahmed Joda, and the entourage came. And what was their mission? The sole mission was that he wanted to come and rein in the sitting governor of Oyo State at that time for allowing his people to kill his people. And what he said on that day, I was there live. In fact, in the course of my, I had the video in my archives, but I've been trying to look for it. I couldn't get it. I've tried to find it. I couldn't get it. Now, he told Lam to his face that why are you a governor sitting there and you allow your people to kill my people? So technically, meanwhile, as at that time, Dan Baba, commissioner of police then, was the commissioner of police in Oyo State. One Akonde was the director of SSS. It was not DSS then. And they brought out evidence. As at that time, the Fulani herdsmen had killed 238 farmers in their farmstead in a gruesome manner. These people went on a reprisal attack and killed only 2 herdsmen. And that was what prompted Buhari, former head of state, somebody who has governed this whole country, to come all the way from Daura. So that speaks to whatever happened during Buhari's tenure about Boko Haram.
Let's move away from that. So, all of this, how do you think it affects his decision-making process, which contributed to the success and challenges of his administration when he returned as a president?
You see, nothing changed.
I mean, his mindset now.
There was no mindset change.
So how did it affect the success and challenges?
The only thing that showed semblance of democracy under Buhari was when Saraki and co ambushed him, and Saraki became Senate president without his support. You recall the incident that happened. They were waiting for the Senate to convey somewhere, and they had conveyed earlier and appointed principal officers and made Saraki the Senate president. So Saraki was not his boy. And you know what happened the second time he came? He made sure that every single person that was in the House of Reps and Senate hierarchy, top hierarchy, was chosen by him.
All right.
So he never changed. It was still the Buhari we used to know.
Since forever.
And sometimes when people celebrate him, I laugh. This was the man that was Minister of Petroleum when 2.8 billion naira was missing. 2.8 billion at that time was about, would be about 20.8 trillion today.
That will lead me to the next question, because there are a lot of things that actually would make you question the integrity tag attached to his name. While some would make a case for him to say that, oh, he's not aware. Others will say, oh, so there are conversations that they bring to him and it just looks like he doesn't have the details. But the reality is he was president, and no absent-minded person should be on that seat, so we cannot continue to make excuses. But even as we celebrate his life and times, he has passed now. What implication do you think that Buhari's passing will have on Nigerian politics? And how might it influence the country's trajectory in years to come? Talk about cases of when he was Minister of Petroleum too, because there are a lot of cases that needs to be unraveled.
Under Buhari, Mr. Integrity, NNPC was not audited for 8 years, and IETI, I think something on Extractive Transparency International, and NEITI, who is supposed to monitor what goes on to ensure transparency and accountability in the oil sector, consistently shouted that NNPC should be audited.
So how will his passing affect Nigerian politics now?
Now, I'm just trying to deconstruct this idea of Mr. Integrity. But for now, how we are going to sort this out? One, those who felt they have umbrella now, before now, they now know that there is no umbrella again. Because what they were banking on was to use the integrity mantra of Buhari to further the interest of ADC. by putting themselves, they have visited Buhari several times, countless times, to endorse them. Now, there's nobody to endorse. So everybody is now carrying his cross. To your tent, O Israel. So APC will not say, I am now Buhari'S. ADC will not throw up
say Buhari has left the APC
Atiku now and say, I am following the offshoot of Buhari. So everybody is now left to preach the gospel according to his profile.
All right.
and integrity.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fanimo. Let's go on a quick break now. So when we come back, we can talk and reflect on the legacy and life of the Awujale of Ijebu land. Please stay with us. Welcome back to People's Voice. Yes, I think it's a very good time to be a part of the conversation. We have our numbers scrolling on the screen. Please do well to call us. Let's know what you think about the conversations we're having in the studio, and of course your reaction on the life and legacy of President Muhammadu Buhari. But we are taking a moment now to reflect on the life and legacy of a friend and a mutual of President Muhammadu Buhari, who sadly, or maybe interestingly, passed on the same day. Let's talk about the Awujale of Ijebu land, a very remarkable individual who left an indelible mark on Nigeria history. Obasikiru Kayode Adetono, the Reverend Awujale and paramount ruler of Ijebu land, was a true icon. He was born on May 10, 1934 in Imukpa, Ijebu Ode. He hailed from the prestigious Anikinaya Royal House. His remarkable journey to the throne began with his nomination for kingship while studying accountancy in England in the year 1959. Oba Adetono's path to the throne was marked by divine providence and a break from tradition. After his appointment, he underwent traditional rites and seclusion at Odo for 3 months, a customary preparation for the Awujale. On April 2, 1960, he was formally crowned the 58th Awujale in grand ceremony attended by prominent Nigerian leaders. Talk about reign and contribution. Oba Adetono reigned for an unprecedented 65 years. He became one of Nigeria's longest-serving traditional rulers, guiding Ijebu through decades of cultural evolution and political change. His leadership was characterized by a deep commitment to tradition and modernization. But notably, he established a professorial chair at Olabisi Onabanjo University, further solidifying his legacy as a champion of education in Ogun State. About his personal life and legacy, Oba Adetono was a devoted family man, married to 3 wives, with whom he had 9 children. His life and times will be remembered for generations to come, and a biopic titled Awujale is set for release in 2025, offering a glimpse into his remarkable life. Let's talk about his impact as we reflect on the life and legacy of Obasikiru Adetono. It is clear that his impact on Ijebuland and Nigeria at large will be deeply felt. Having ruled for 65 years, I mean, not a lot of people even had the privilege of being alive for up to 65 years. And his passing yesterday, July 13, 2025, at the age of 91, marks the end of an era. But his contribution to traditional leadership and cultural preservation will endure for a lifetime. Talk about his legacy and impact. Let me come back to Mr. Dele Fanimo as we wrap up the show. Now, let's talk about him quickly. Legacy and impact. How do you think Obasikiru Adetono's 65 years reign impacted the development of Ijebu land and Nigeria as a whole? You know what you say when you talk about Ijebu people. We are elite. We're everything good.
It's now personal.
I mean, let me enjoy whatever comes with being an Ijebu right now.
But let me be straight with you. The Awujale was one of the Obas I so much respect in Yoruba land. And second to the late Alaafin of Oyo. You see, my admiration grew for him when the phantom coup that roped in Diya, Olariwaju and co came, all Obas were eroded into Aso Rock to meet with Abacha to show the famous video where some Obas collected suitcases. Alaafin was very clever about his own. He said he was sick. He voted.
And now Awujale.
Oba Obini said, Oba no dey comot palace.
Yes, so as it should be.
Yes. Awujale said he cannot go. He stood his ground, even against being attacked. As at that time, Abacha was sending Rogers and the rest of them, Al-Mustafa, to deal with his perceived enemy. But he stood his ground. And that alone stood him out as one of the greatest Obas that had reconnected with his ancestors and did the unthinkable that the new set of Obas will never do. And that gave me a lot of respect. I doff my heart, even in death.
You're welcome.
Yes. And we knew what happened to those who collected those briefcases.
Right.
Till today, they are no longer relevant in Yoruba land. So, and that's not the first time. And he was such a silent achiever. Today, Ojude Oba brings in minimum of 500 billion naira. And it's a tourist attraction any day, anytime.
Right.
It's going to be part of World Heritage Sites very soon. So the man has done so much and is always in support of his sons and daughters.
Right.
When Glo had problems with government, he stood in the gap and ensured that he was taken off the hook. And that's why till death, and I'm sure that Adenuga will still hold on to that legacy of making sure that he's the major sponsor of Ojude Oba till the end of time. So he did very well for Ijebu land.
He does that a lot. There's the
he did so many things that were remarkable, and I pray that he finds peace with his ancestors. Because he has not died, he has only gone to join his ancestors.
So it's just a passing
just
to
a passage.
Another realm. So
yes.
That's it. But we are pressed for time. How do you talk about cultural preservation? How important is it to preserve our cultural heritage and traditions of Ijebu land?
If you lose your language and you lose your culture, you lose identity. Today, I love Ijebu people for one thing. Find them everywhere, anywhere in the world. Once they know you are Ijebu, they don't speak English language.
Mr. Fanimo, you can just say that you love me, but that's fine. That's how we wrap the show.
That's off camera.
That's how we wrap up the show today. Ijebu people, we are proud of our heritage, and it's important to have leaders that have made their mark. I mean, something that you can always identify with to say that I'm proudly Ijebu. But we mourn and we celebrate at the same time. We mourn the passing of the former president, but we celebrate a life well spent of former. There's nothing formal in Oba Sikiru Adetono. 91 years is success, in my opinion. But as we conclude today's show, we reflect on the lives and legacies that have shaped our nation so far, from the passing of the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, and the remarkable journey of Oba Sikiru Adetono. We've explored the stories that define Nigeria's rich history and culture. To our viewers, thank you so much for being a part of People's Voice today. Continue to stay informed and keep your voices heard. I am Adefunke Jaisimi, and I strongly believe in this project Nigeria. Nigeria will be great again. Good afternoon.